And hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Calgary Real Estate Show. And great to have you with us again today. We're actually pre-recorded. Little secret there because we had some stuff going on later today. So we wanted to give you updates on what's going on in the Calgary real estate market. Really interesting little stat piece came out from Zoocasa the other day about how many months of rent do you need to save for a down payment in different parts of Calgary for an apartment condo? So we're going to get to that. Yeah, that'll be really interesting. Jaden, what's coming up for you today?
I'm just going to tell you why rates don't matter right now. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So, no, they obviously do, but we're going to dig a little bit into why rate is probably the least important part of the decision right now.
Oh, interesting. And Natalie?
I am talking about exterior trends for 2024.
Awesome. And you're going to have our real estate time machine as well. So, really interesting week here, guys. New listings on the detached side down significantly over last week, down to 193. Sold's down quite a bit as well for a 103% sale to new listing ratio. Pendings, though, at 180. So that was a big jump from last week, but similar to 2 weeks ago. Price reduced 175, right? So I think people are still thinking it's the spring market. And you definitely have to make a distinction, right? And we're listing a property this weekend, and we literally tell people what price we get will really depend on how many buyers are in the market on the weekend we list, right? Like it's so dependent right now. It's a different. I feel like it's a very different market than spring, although there's still tons of multiple offers happening. Back on market, 26 days on market. Natalie will get to that in the next slide, but look, it's jumped up a little bit, but still a lot lower than last year. Look at the active detached below 1,300 now without pendings, and our total active at 2,609.
All right, well, let's go over to the time machine. So last year, this week, we had 411 total sales. This week, 408. So it's down 0.73%. New listings last year, 440. This year, 581, up 32%. Actives last year, 3767. This year, 3232. So it's down 14%. So that number is climbing up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then our days on market last year were 39. This year, 29, which is down almost 26%. So
yeah, exactly. So those numbers are really interesting, right? We're continuing to see the closing of the gap from an active listings perspective. But again, we say this with a big caveat. Like, even though the gap is closing, even if you look at last year at 3,700 listings, that's still way down from what we normally should be in our size of city.
Mm-hmm. All right. Jaden.
Yeah, so you can forget all of these numbers, just like I said, right? Don't even worry. No, seriously. Actually, what we saw in the bond market really took a dive last week, and so we're slowly starting to see fixed interest rates come down on that side of things. It's going to continue to come down. I think that's just going to happen again and again. So really, when you're looking at this, like the 3-year, the 5-year fixed rates, I don't think they're important. I think you'd be relatively foolish to tie into a 5-year fix right now. And that's for a number of reasons, right? So first off, we know that it's starting to come down, and that process seems like it's accelerating and continue to happen. And so if you tie in at that 5-year fix at 5.55 right now, there's a couple of problems there. First off, you got 5.55 for the next 5 years, and we know that generally speaking, a market in Alberta, or excuse me, in Canada, is between 2.5% and 3.5%, somewhere in that range. I would say on the insured side is kind of where you're at. The other side of that is if it goes down to 2.5% or 3.5%, and you need to break the mortgage, let's say 3 years from now, there is going to be a huge gap between what your contract rate is and what the rate of the day is, and that's what they use to do their penalties, to create their penalties, right? So, really, when you're talking about getting into a mortgage right now, you need to think about, what are my plans over the next 5 years? Do I like the variable? I know variable is higher there by 0.65%. But do I believe that that's going to go down? I personally believe by spring we're going to start to see that coming down. So you don't, like, I get these. I see on Ask Calgary all the time. What is the lowest rate in the market? Well, the lowest rate in the market right now is a 5-year fixed. that is probably not the right rate for you, right? You need to really think about all the other parts of the mortgage, especially now, because it's really with these high rates and with the way things are changing and with the way they've historically changed, going from up really quickly to down really quickly. Now more than ever, rate is the least of your worries. You need to think about the whole package of the mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. And whatever you do, we got our mortgage renewal statement. I mean, I was expecting it, but I nearly fell off my chair, right? Like, do not sign your bank's mortgage renewal statement without talking to Jaden, period.
No, and you know what? And I might tell you to go back to your bank. It might be the best thing for you to do. But let's talk about what's out there on the market and what your options are, at least, right? So even if you're comfortable with the people you're banking with, you love the system, you love all of that, and say they've offered me this, I can always tell you, well, there's this on the market and it's good for because of this, and this, and you can take that back to your bank. Usually they're going to match what they see on the market, right? So
yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, let's go to, I can't remember what the next slide is. I can't remember where, oh, there we go. There it is. Natalie. And I have one more thing and then we do community events. So there you go, Natalie. Oh, that's interesting. That could use a little facelift.
That could use a little facelift. That's hideous. Okay, so today we're talking 2024 exterior trends. So let's jump in. So number one is stucco, which has been around for literally thousands of years. So,
wow.
But it is, you have seen in the last probably 10 years, there's been quite an uptick in board and batten, siding, shaker, all that kind of stuff, right? Hardy board and everything like that. So stucco is always a classic and it's beautiful. Now the caveat with that, it needs to be smooth. This is smooth. We're not doing the 70s swoop where it looks like, some child has tried to ice a cake. That's not what we're talking about. Next one is shingle siding, always a classic. This is a very, very East Coast house right here, but it is a beautiful look. And, whether you go with like a cedar shingle or you go with a hardy shingle, for example, which is pretty much impenetrable, both are very good options for you. We just put hardy shakes on our house and they look amazing.
Yes, we do. You should have put a picture of our house in here.
I know.
We're trendsetters, aren't we?
Yes. we count. This one is minimalism. I'm not sure how I feel about this one.
Hard pass.
This just looks like a big bland box to me, but some people that love minimalism will say, yep, that's exactly what I want. It's clean and all that kind of stuff. Not my favorite. I had to put it in, but the next one is black. Always a classic. It just really stands out. This one is all black, but at least with the wood accent on the door, it really pops with it. So
it's moody.
And the last one is slats, which this one is sort of cool because they did a facade that's jutting out from the side of the house. So you can sort of see in behind, there's the windows. So it's almost like they did an inner courtyard, and that's what's it gives that sort of three-dimensional look with this. So pretty interesting stuff. And that's all I got. Yeah.
Very interesting. All right. So this was an interesting article that came out on Zoocasa.com, and Zoocasa is our partner at eXp Realty. And so I found this super, super interesting. So this is months of rent needed for down payment. So, and this is for the different zones in Calgary. So you can see number one on the list, and this is not a surprise, would be the East Zone. Because the benchmark price in September was $222. So you need $11,000 and the average monthly rent of $1,956. So that is 5.7. I'm not going to go through all these in particular. City Center, again, not surprisingly, and the Southeast were the highest benchmark prices in September. So your minimum required down payment, and that would be at 5%, I think, Jaden, if I'm doing my math in my head correctly.
It sure would be. Yep.
Yeah. So then you've got your average monthly rent again. And I think the only thing I would push back on is I think in the Southeast in particular, I think the rents are higher than this, but let's call it $2,000. So your 8.5 months, you need to save 8.6 in the deep Southeast. The West Side was the third highest at 322.2. So you need 8.2 months. So let this be an encouragement. If you know people, or if you yourself are looking to buy an apartment condo, this is actually super encouraging to go, okay, well, here's a plan, right? Because Jaden always talks about plans with our clients. So there's a plan for you if you are looking to save enough down payment for save enough months of rent for a down payment. So there you go.
Well, and especially if you're a young person, right, Mark? Like if you're
Yeah.
still in that stage of living with mom and dad, that's a great way to budget. I know that rent is $2,000 a month. So I'm
Yeah.
going to put aside $2,000 a month. That's my rent that's going to go to my next down payment, right?
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. I love that. I love that analogy. And Jaden with the straight fire again.
And can I add a caveat that I would actually encourage people, because this gives you your 5%, but it would almost be worth it to add an extra month of rent, because you got to pay for your legal fees and you got to pay
Yeah.
for a condo doc review, all that kind of stuff. So that can come out, you know, usually 1,500 to 2,000. So that would be all I would say with that. So
No, that's a great point. And you know what, guys, there's no other community events for me this week. It's Remembrance Day on Saturday. And if you've watched global news at all this week, the Field of Crosses ceremonies at sunrise and sunset. So again, we've got them today and tomorrow. And then they have tomorrow, they will light lamps all day. So we all probably know somebody that has been not only, you know, was in World War I, in World War II, has served in the military. We were just with our friends Don and Sherry yesterday, and his dad and I believe his grandpa both served, right? So just some amazing stories. So the actual Remembrance Day ceremony at the Field of Crosses is at 10:10 in the morning on Saturday. I mean, get there early. I'm sure it's going to be packed. So that's on Memorial Drive. And then I wanted to raise attention to the annual Veterans Funding Drive. And so if you go to CanadianLegacyProject.org, and I thank Global because I just screenshotted this from their website and hope they're okay with that. Not that they're watching, but you never know. So anyway, but I'm wanting to draw some attention to it. The Veterans Food Bank as well is in desperate need of, and we're going to post links as much as we can here. The Veterans Food Bank is in desperate need of help. So if you can help a veteran, that is a great way to do it. And last in our business networking chat yesterday, there was a whole bunch of items which I'm going to grab and post. So this is, you know, we remember veterans at this time of year, and this is something that, I don't know, for whatever reason, I've always found near and dear to my heart. I don't know anyone personally that was in wars, but again, we all know people of, you know, friends of friends, parents, things like that. So just wanted to end it today with thank you to all of our veterans who are serving or who have served our active duty military as well. And then of course, remembering all those who gave their lives for us in Canada so we can have freedom. So with that, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you in 7 days.
See you next week.